Hello! Today I'm going to show you how to create this video that we call a magic video. So this is just a quick preview of what it's going to look like. So we're going to be using Photoshop and After Effects for this project. And this will just also teach you the basics of After Effects and using keyframes and layers.
Bring in the meat, Zach.
So we're going to start with Photoshop. Create a new document, title it Orbs, just so you can find it later. Make sure that it's a square and that the background contents are transparent. That way when we bring it into After Effects, that background will stay transparent. So the best thing to do is use your circle marquee tool over here and set the feather to a really high number, probably about 100. And then create a circle. Hold down Shift to make sure that you get a perfect circle. Now you can just use the paintbrush tool. Choose your color down here. I'm going to make kind of this greenish color. That's kind of pretty. I like that. So then you can just color here. And as you can see, because of the feather you have on your select tool, it'll make sure that it fades out around the outside. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but this is how I did it.
I was wondering where it was.
So when it looks like you're about finished here, all the way around, go up to select and deselect so you can see what it looks like without the circle there.
Are there more birds?
If you want to make your circle darker, a little clearer, easier to see, you can duplicate the layer here, and that'll just make it easier to see without expanding it outward at all. And then, once you're done with that, you can go up to Layer and use Merge Visible so that you only are left with one layer, still with the transparent background. Now you can save this file so that we can import it into After Effects. So here on After Effects, we've already created this footage with my friend Tony. So we're going to import that.
What's that, you Tony? You talk froth or a hot dog?
And then we'll also import the orb picture that we just made.
Or hot dogs against the law.
And make sure you select Choose Layers so that you'll end up with the background being transparent. So it looks like a circle on a black background here, but when you bring it in, you'll be able to see whatever's behind that. So everything on After Effects is done with layers. So we're going to drag this down here to create a new composition. And here you can sort of preview the video, move through it, and see what it's going to look like. Okay, so we're going to start to add this orb. So we're going to move to the point where Tony's hand is up above the shot and it's just starting to move down. So we're right about there. And we're going to drag down our orb. We want it to be on top of the video. Now, of course, it's too big. So just use your corner and drag it to make it smaller. Hold down the Shift key to make sure it stays a circle. And then put it up out of the shot where you can't see it. You can always adjust the size if you need to. Alright, so everything in After Effects is done with keyframes. And we have these keyframes here that says Transform. We're going to use those. So the position keyframe will allow you to move this object as time passes. So move your time indicator to the point where Tony's hand is at the bottom of this little motion here, and then drag it down, and the computer will automatically create a new keyframe, moving the orb to that point at that time. So just do that every couple seconds. Pretty much every time his hand moves, you're going to have to create a new keyframe. Now at this point, his hands are going to move apart, and we want this orb to look like it's dividing into two.
Oh yeah.
So what we're going to do is drag down the Layer 1 Photoshop file again.
One more time.
And just shrink it down to the same size as the other one.
We making it to the top, man.
And this time we're going to use the opacity keyframe, because we only want it to appear at about this point. So what we're going to do is, under the transform menu, we're going to choose opacity and create a keyframe for that, and set it to 0%. Then at the time where you want the orb to start to be visible, we're going to move to here, and then drag that opacity up to 100%. So over the course of those couple seconds, it'll fade in. Now we just have to keep moving these orbs as his hands move to keep them in the right position with the keyframe. So with this one, we're going to use a position keyframe as well.
Everyone at home knows this Lady Gaga. English people have afternoon tea every day.
We're just going to keep moving everything in time with his hands.
Cheerio.
And it sort of changes speed here, so you want to make sure that at the point where he sort of seems like he changes the speed, you're going to make multiple keyframes here.
She sound British? She is English.
Hey, let's show them how to do the green screen, Steve.
I'm going to be absolutely spitting down his face.
So just make sure your timing's right. So at this point here, his hands are starting to go past them. So you're going to want to make sure that doesn't happen. So just drag these keyframes back until it seems to be at about the right height.
Then just the camera, film yourself with the green. You're going to put that clip in, and then you're going to take it 4 months, and then you're going to put them in the second.
There you go. And so that's all finished. We've added all the orbs. So we can close these menus now. And we're finished.
Good night.